Just go to a new tab, open Google, search up REPL, REPL, and just click on it. I have to do a new tab. Let's just do this. Let's just do a new tab. So you just go to REPL, and then you just create, just click the G for Gmail. It's a quick access. Just use your Gmail, account, and just use any account to log in. So I'll just give everyone 30 seconds to process it. So once you log in through REPL, you should see a home screen. So once you see a home screen, you would click Add, and HTML and CSS and JS. That's what we're going to do today by basically creating a website. So before we create a website, I'm going to do a presentation on the website itself. So we're going to go through a course. So a website is basically comprised of 3 parts: HTML, CSS, and JS. HTML is basically a hypertext markup language. And what this is just basically any text is on a website. You see on the image to your right, it's just like a text. You can see its boldness and type of text. What would you like to write in a Word document? Any text in a format like Wikipedia, YouTube, or anything that's made of HTML and text. It can be on a mobile platform and website as well. It's just basically text, the overall text, and just how it is displayed on the website. With CSS, it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And what this is, it basically styles your website. It makes things more pizzazz and more amazing, and just makes it more colorful, and just makes it more appealing to a viewer or audience visiting the website. It is used by most websites all around the globe. And it goes hand in hand with HTML, as you can color the text of the code, you can color the size, not color size, but change the size of the text, just like in Word. On document, you can change a lot of things and customize anything in HTML using CSS. With JavaScript, it is the functionality of the website. JS is basically, you can actually make things function. When you click on a button, it does this. You can change from red color to green color, for example, or you can change from one piece of text to another piece of text. It's like very interactive. It makes the experience more fun, and it makes the website more appealing and just more interactive with the people viewing the website. So now I'm going to hand it over to Raj for the difference between code and CMS.
All right, thank you, Eric. I'm going to be telling you guys on why learning how to code is far superior than using CMS. Now, for those of you that don't know what CMS is, CMS are platforms such as Wix, Webflow, or WordPress. So the first point being having a unique looking website. The first and the reason for that is there's a lot of websites these days that tend to look the same and very like, when you go from website to website, they have like similar themes. But if you actually learn how to code and just like learn like specific elements of it, you can make your website look a lot more eye-catching and a lot more unique. And then on top of that, CMSs actually have like a lot of limitation, which brings me to my next point being, let's say that you have like a really creative idea that you want to implement onto your website, but let's say that there's not a widget or there's not a template ready for you. You can't really implement it onto your website then. But if you actually learn coding, there's a lot of posts and tutorials out there. And since it's such a universal language, you can actually be able to, whatever your imagination is essentially endless. You can implement whatever you want, whatever idea onto the website. And on top of that, with CMSs, they're associated with a lot of bugs, whether it be like the templates or the widgets. So if you do go the CMS route, you're going to be talking to customer support a lot, where with the customer support, when you complain about the bugs, it might take weeks, months, or even longer for it to patch up and like have the problem resolved. But if you actually learn how to code, you can find solutions online, forums, and just other people that are willing to help each other out to get your idea actually implemented onto your website. And this brings me to my last point, just being, it's just something really good to put on your resume. Let's say that you were working with WordPress, right? And if a company that you're going into doesn't use WordPress, let's say they use another template, you don't really have much to offer to the company. Well, if you actually learn HTML, JS, or CSS, the 3 languages that we're going to be covering today, that has more to offer in the table. They're actual technical skills, and it's a lot more adaptable. And on that, I'm going to pass it back to Eric.
Thank you, Raj. So why should we learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Well, it's to understand the basics of a website. If you go to any like Wikipedia page or any like website, you actually see like there's console elements and all that. And with that, HTML elements, CSS elements, and JavaScript elements. Especially Wikipedia, it's basically made of like HTML elements, just a lot of words, and there's like images there as well. It stands out from the crowd. Like when you, as Ross said, it stands out as you make a website. You can actually put it on your resume, and you can also make a business or personal website, whatever type of website you want. It's pretty useful to know the knowledge, the basic foundations of it, as you can create it for any type of purpose from now on for the future. It's just good to have the knowledge, basic understanding. And it's good to create something from scratch, right? Such as building a custom PC. You can add many parts to it, and you want to upgrade it, you can add more to it. Just like building a website, you can add more to it as well. Just as something as custom you made, you can add so much more to upgrade it to be more powerful and more influential in any way. So if you interact with us, there is a $15 prize at the end where I'll share a link, and you can enter in and your website, take a screenshot of it, and enter to win a $15 prize. All right, so did anyone have questions on how to register for the REPL? If not, I can show you again. You just go REPL.com and then you just register Gmail, and then you click the plus sign, and then select HTML, CSS, and JS. Once you've done that, you would create REPL. It'll load up, and you have this part right here. All right, so you see right here, you have your 3 basic files: index.html, script.js, and style.css. You need these 3 files as they can interact with each other. So in the first part, we'll be starting with HTML. In the HTML, you have your basic structure of your head, which is this part right here, and your body, which is right here. And so we're gonna separate it. Okay, so HTML is made of the head. It's basically where your main structure is, where you want to implement anything you want, like links to another website or anything like that. So we have one here, link right here. This links to the style.css, where you can color your Word document, your HTML, or just style it. And other basic foundations are essential to making like the structure and making sure it's updated. So this would make sure that everything is updated from the text to everything else. So that is the head. And we have the title. And with this title, when you type anything in it, such as hello, and you run it, so let's run it. And then if you want to see what it looks like on a bigger screen, you can just copy Control C right here, and then Alt Tab, and then and see when you type hello, it shows up right here as the title right here. So that's what putting hello here does. We put hello here, it puts a tab right here, and change it to like 5. It would do something like that, and change it to 5. So that changes the type. So let's get to the body part. This is where all the main things happen, such as the text, the pictures, everything you want to imagine. So we'll just ignore this part right here, syntax.js. Right there. And so with HTML, the body, we have text. So basically, what every text starts off with is H1, open, less than, and close it off. And this right here, it's called a tag. So there's a bunch of tags here. There's body tag, There's the head tag. But right here, when you create one, it's called a tag. And there's a lot of tags in HTML, and we're going to see a lot of it later on. And so when you create this H1, it's going to create a text. And after this, you can basically write whatever you want. Like, I'm going to write to Tal, because that's a new champion. That's not a champion, but a new person coming out and Genshin Impact. I forgot the terminology, but to Tal. So let's see, and then let's write slash and then H1, and then close it off, and that will complete the tag. This is called a close tag. So this one's open, this is closed, and then whatever here gets printed. So when you run it, it prints off right here. And you can also go to your new tab and refresh it, and it prints right here. And there's 6 levels of H1s. So I'm going to Control C all this. And you create 6, and then you just change it H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. And this goes in descending order, so it goes from biggest to smallest. And so each one has a close tag, and 4, 5, and 6. And you run it down, and wow, look, it goes descending order. Isn't that cool? And so that's one thing, okay? That's the paragraph. So let's just leave a title. Let's call this title for now. Just run that, all right? It's title. And next thing we'll learn about is paragraphs. Just like writing a Word document, you have your paragraphs, you write longer words, which H1 to H6, you just have those as the titles or like subtitles for like documents and whatever you write in your website. So with paragraphs, you have the same concept as this one. You have your open tag right here, and then write whatever you want. I ran over the hill, for example. And then you close that tag, and there you have a sentence. So that's a paragraph tag. So next thing we'll learn about is decoration. Now you can also like in Word you can like bold, and for this one you can make it bold too, and make a slash right there, and made it more darker, as you say, as bold. You also italicize it. It's more slanted. So anything you do in Word, you can like put it in a website, and it's just like a word on a website. So yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you like customize it on a paragraph. Next, we can just move on to like things without tags, such as BR. And what this is called a break. So it's like BR is shortened for break. And these are called single tags. And single tags don't really need like a closing tag, nor does it need a slash. It's a break. And a break just basically it separates. So if I have this, for example, you see these two are right here. And if it's like a crude break right here, it creates that bigger gap between them. So it's basically like a tab or like a space bar when you like press enter on a Word document. And there's also another single tag called BR, which is, no, that's great, yeah. There's another one called HR, which is horizontal rule. It basically makes a line. It's another single tag, doesn't need a slash. It's called horizontal rule. It just makes a single line across the page. You guys can see it right here as well. The bigger screen. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a list. A list, it can be like unordered list or an order list. So you put UL. This is not a single tag, but a double tag with the open and close. And you have UL, and within UL you have a list. You call it LI, and then close is within the unordered list. We clarify it's unordered. And now we can just, and this is a statement. Actually, it's a bulletin point. And basically you can type something like 1/ and see creates a bullet right now. It creates a bullet point like this. All right, and you can create many bullet points too. 1, 2, and then 3. You have to close it too. Make sure to close it within each other /UL. So you see there's open, close, and within this, there's list. There's a bulletin right here, a bulletin right here, and a bulletin right here. Each having their own open and closing tags. And this will create a list right here. There's another one called an order list. But this is just changing, instead of use OL, and it'll create 1, 2, 3. So just like in like a Word document, you just do this stuff. Similar to a Word document. What else you can learn about is links. Links, like any other tag, is just an A and then close. But this time it has something called an attribute. What that is, it allows like the A to have something to reference to. So it's called href. And we'll href and then just equal. And then let's say you just want to open up google.com, for example, http :google.com. I think that's how you, I don't think that's the link, but that's how you do it. And then close it, let's say Google, just to have, and then you can write a text right here to know like what to link to click on, to have like where to click it, and then close it off with the /A. You can kind of see a pattern right here with everything, with slashing, like close, A, whatever you have right here, A right here, /A, and then OL /OL. So kind of get the pattern right there. So once you do that, you can run it. See, it's at Google. I don't know, it actually goes Google. It's at Google, but you put google.com, the link. But I don't think I have the right link. Let's see. Through HTTP.
Are you missing the S?
Let me see. Let's see. Google.com. I am missing an S. Thank you. So use google.com. It should work right here. Let's see. Yeah, it works right here. Oh, yeah, it takes you to google.com. Anyway, in the browser, I think it's the inbox. Okay. So you see that when you type in the URL link, the full URL link, it leads it to it with the Google right here. It's an indicator of where to click on. And when you click on it, it leads you to a place. You need to put any URL link, it'll lead you there, YouTube, whatever link you want to put. So that's a href, it's a link to, I mean, not the href, but it's a link to any website. So you want to put a link to your website, a link to another website in your website. That's a way to do it. Let's refresh it. All right. So next thing we'll go over is links. We have links. I guess pictures. Let's see, image. This is a single tag, so it's image. So less than image. And then we have src, which is called the source, and equal sign, and then we hit open. And you can put in here basically the URL link. Let's see. Let's do example. Just put like cats or something and Google Images. Google Images. Let's put that. And let's just, I'll just use this as an example. Just click, you can search anything, and right click and just open image in a new tab. And then once you get that image in a new tab, you can copy. So this. Let me say this. Actually, never mind. I'll just do it another way. What we can do is create another folder. Let's see, a folder. Add a folder. Let's call it images. And right here, you can add images. So I'm just gonna add a random image. Let's just add a CSS image. I just drag an image from my file folder. It's right here. I can rename it. Let's just say CSS image .jpeg. So it's a JPEG file. So we can refer to right here from image. Just go to right here and just put slash images and then slash css.jpg, and that leads it to the directory. Let's see if this works. And right here, the image appears. So what I did was I went to my files, I dragged an image, a random JPEG or PNG, whatever image file you have, and put it in a folder, right, which you create right here. You add a folder, and then once you have the folder, you drag the image to the folder, and then I just rename it something similar, something very simple, just css.jpg. And then you would do is put, let's see, slash images slash css.jpg. So that just refers to the file location of it. And you create an image. And that image is too big for now, just delete it. The last thing I want to talk about on HTML is the table. And the tables, you can just create like an Excel sheet. This basically looks like an Excel sheet. What a table is, you can create like, let's see, a row, table row, and within that table row, you have a table data. Yeah. And then with table data, you can just put anything like, let's say, row 1, because that is row 1. And then you close it off. And then you have tr, which you close off as well, /tr, close everything. And it creates, and then you can create like many rows as you want. Just create like this. I just copied it and then copy this part. And then you can just change it to row 3, and then you can run it. Actually, oh, that's the problem. So it's not like that. It's this one. This will create another row. So this is one row, and this is another row. Let's test it out. And so you have 2 separate rows, and that's like an Excel sheet. And you can just add another layer next to it, as I did earlier, right next to it, like right here, something like this, next to row 1. And then you have right here in search right here. Extra. Yeah. Oh yeah. Messed up. And next to row one. And it should be next to row one. So it creates like this layer. You can also give this table an attribute, as I said earlier. You can give it a density, I think, of border. Yeah, border of row one. I mean, not border row one, but border of one. Double semicolon one. Then it creates this layout right here in Excel. So it creates like this layout, which can be cool. There's also like an Excel and HTML. So that's like pretty much the basics which I can cover in HTML. Does anyone have any questions or how do you feel about HTML so far? Is it hard, easy?
Where'd the cat go? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know if this was a PNG file or not. Let's see.
It's a JPEG.
Yeah, I mean, like if you find a link to like an image, you can just copy the URL. Let's see.
I mean, it did say it wasn't secure, so.
Yeah, that's what I said. Let's just see. Maybe this one. I'm not gonna risk it, but you can use URLs to put any URL, like secure URL, in the image tab, and where you so let's say image, and just put the URL here. It can also work here. That's not really what I want. But you can put the URL here, and it would have the same effect. So if it was on an online website and you want an image from there, you can just put the URL right here, and then it will also appear. But I just did this as a safer way. You can just save the image, download it, and drag it into the image folder, and then refer the location of the image folder, and then you can get the image on the website. So that should be the HTML portion. How are you guys feeling? Good? Nah? Put a 1 in chat if you're feeling good. Feeling 2, you're confused. Feeling 3, if you're just, I don't know, you're just there, existing, fading away in space.
And it's totally okay. I like to preface, if this is your first introduction to code, it's completely okay to feel like just a straight idiot, because let me do remind you, this is like learning a new language. So there's no way you can master, you know, an entire language that people have spent their entire lives writing in just a 60-minute session. I think our job here is just to kind of get you familiar with that. But to kind of finish off my part here, I would like to remind, if you do make a solid attempt, you get bowl money for the week. Meaning, Eric slightly mentioned it, but I don't think he put enough emphasis on it, so I'll do that. If you send us your website at the end, which will release a Google form, we'll randomly just pick a website, and you get $15 free, and you don't even need to get up from your chair. So for the rest of this session, for about 40 minutes, if you give it, a good college effort, as I like to call it, then yeah, you get $15 or a shot at it. So yeah, that's it for me.
So we're going to move into the next section, which is called CSS. You don't have to move very far. This is right here. So with CSS, you can style your HTML. So for example, we can change the background. As you can know in HTML, this is called the body. It's encapsulated right here. This is the body. So with bodies, anything that's like the main thing that's already in the thing, like body, head, H1, stuff like that, you can just put the name of it. So just put body and then open semicolon. I mean, yes, open brackets. Okay, and then you can just put background, color, and put any color you want. It can be teal, blue, and it just changes the background. You can change it red. And then you can do RGB. I don't know my RGB that well, but let's see. You can just put some random numbers. Hopefully something comes up. 20 or 0. Yes, it comes out green, I think. And yeah, you can do the 3 colors. It can come out there. You do. Also, there's also hashtags, and then there's some forbidden words. I don't know any. I guess this is I guess this is some color. You can do hashtag, and it brings in a color or something. There's like some hidden numbers and letters combinations that we can also make colors. So you can change the background color and all that. You can also change like the title color, the H1 part. Let's see. Let's just change back to color. Let's just make it white because there. So let's see H1. We want to change H1. So just like poly, it'll be like this. And then you just change the color. It was up to red. And then semicolon. I forgot to mention that after your after you type out the command, you have like colon and then your colon and you have a value. This is color, this is white. The value here's color red, and then you end it with a semicolon. So with CSS, you end things with a semicolon to like end of the clarification. And when you run this, it turns red. So that's, you can change also the background font size to, let's say, 100 pixels. You can change the, you can see it changes like the size of it, so it's already bigger. And you can do many things and change it. You can change the font family and font style, but you can change font family to like, wait, like here's a lot of font families. You can just go through one here. They give you suggestions.
Can you do Comic Sans?
I don't think so. I think you need to include a library to do that. I think there is. Let's see. You find it in here, maybe it does. But if it doesn't, you need to include like a library to include it. But let's just do cursive since I think that's the most recognizable. I don't know, that's cursive. Wait. Oh, I forgot the semicolon to end it. So make it cursive. I think it changes the font family. Yeah, it does. And let's see, what else you can change it to? So it does change like the font family, and you can be other stuff. So yeah, so you can change many things. It's basically about styling like your HTML, your background of your background and stuff, and other more stuff like that as well. So we can move on to more stuff. I keep saying stuff, but all right, we can go to index.html. So one thing I forgot to mention here is that you can give these tags an identity. So we can do that through a thing called class. I'm going back to HTML, but it will refer to CSS. And we can give this class any name we want. So let's call it test. I would call it test. And then this HTML is referred to the test entity. And so what classes right here I said I gave this H1 test. You can refer to this. It'll be better to one to make a comparison. Let's see. All right, so they're both like red. As H1 are both H1 is red, as all H1s are red. But this one has the test attribute. So let's go to test. When you create a single entity, like a class name into a single entity, such as the H1 I gave earlier, we usually use a dot and then the name we gave it, so test, and then the same formality of the rest. But this one is a bit different since it's a single, refer to that single class. And we can change this color to blue. And then this would be different from this one, since this is its own entity compared from this one. Even though they're both H1, we gave this one a class name, which is its own entity apart from the H1. And so now it's blue and this one's red. If you have another H1, it'll be red. So you just do another H1, that's it. And it's a red. It should be red too. So you can create many like styling, we get colors and stuff. And you can just refer to online sources such as W3 Schools, where they have a lot more customization of what you can add on to your HTML and how you can decorate it and all that. And so you can refer back to the CSS. There's also things called an ID, which is very more focus centered more than a class. And this is like more focused on the H1. For a class, you can have you have this input class, and then let's see, test. And then you can have many H1 with tests, many H1 classes with tests. But ID is more like selective. It's very selective, and so this one refers to you cannot have like no other ID can be like test. So just put it as the one or something. I don't know. And then this is class. You can have many H1s. So this one test, and then it'll be this one's like, let's see, H1. This is on. Okay. So for testing, let me put the bigger browser. I also did it for the P. Okay, I see. So let's see. With IDs, it's more specific. So where I were to use ID, it would not be like a dot, but rather a hashtag, not a hashtag, but a number sign. And then test color, and it's green. Let's see, did it work?
Where did green go?
Oh yeah, I changed the name. Here we go. Select this. Yeah, there we go, green. And then, so this is more specific to IDs. And then, more specific. So you have this H1, and then let's see. This field. It's down here. Gets more large. So there is the class right here, and then there's another class. But ID is more specific. I was gonna mess up right here. Mess up somewhere. Let's reset everything. But there you go. You have your customization of CSS. You can target one and all that. Let's focus on another topic. called, in HTML, there's also a div, which you can use in CSS. So div is just like a box. It creates like a box within a section. So slash div, and it should create like a box centered. And so should create, let's see, should create a box, but yeah, make it recognizable. So we can give this div a class name. Let's call it a box, or yeah, let's call it a box. And then we can refer to back here, dot box. And then we would have that box. Actually, let's refer to div first. Since div is like HTML or not the HTML, H1 body and stuff like that. And we're gonna give it a width. So you can have like a width, colon, and then the number, and then px for the measurement. So you have something like feet or inches or something like that. You have px, and then you have width, and then you have the height. We give it the width and height, and then we can give it like a background color. Is gold, and we do that. And it creates a box right here, a square box. Maybe it's like a square, but it's a box. And so it creates like a square box. So it has its own section, its own like parameter. So a div basically allows it to cut off the section. So it'd be like right here. This is its own like section right here. I don't see my mouse, but yeah. And with this div, you can actually give it like positions and stuff. So with positions, you can make it absolute. Position absolute. Or you can give it a more relative, which is already installed. I mean, not already installed, but it's like relative where it's given. So this would be a relative position. So we can give it an absolute position. And then we can just move it left 100 pixels. 100 pixels. What is it? Let's see. Maybe it's float. Padding. Float. Let's just go with float. All right, so let's see how it works. Float makes you just float towards a particular point. So it just floats left. So everything gets dragged up and it's floating midair. With position, you can give it a relative or absolute. So let's see. Oh yeah, I think it's left. Is it right? Right. And then you put 0 pixels. Does it move? Yeah, move to the right. So you see right here. So absolute position, you can control where it goes. You can go down. Actually, no, it's not down, but you can just move it up, maybe bottom. Up or bottom. So yeah, you can go bottom, up, down, left. This is for some terminologies. Sorry. But yeah, you can just go left, right, bottom, top. So you can actually control where the div moves and where position everything is. So just move it back to where it was by doing this. And you always go back here. So that is a div, and you can customize it. They customize where it goes and where to put certain images or where to put something text. And that's how you can like customize all these text and images You can also change like the margin. Let's just clear everything out. Let's remove the float so it doesn't float over the text. Let's see. That will stop working, so I have to refresh. So CSS is really just interesting as you can learn how to style many things. Although there's many more things you can learn on search online to like change many dimensions and stuff. So with this, let's run it to test if it works. All right, so it works. Float's still there. Float's there. Let's see. Let's make it not obsolete. All right, so we've moved back to the decision. So let's create another div so we can see comparison. Let's see, div right here. Just create another one. Second class. And we'll create 2 boxes. All right, so now you stack upon each other. There's 2 divs upon each other. And with this, you can actually do many things. I'm going to show you what's called a margin. And you can, it's basically the spacing outside the box. So you can separate these 2 divs. Just like the width and the height, yes, the measurement of pixels. So you put margin, colon, and a semicolon, and it should separate. And then it did. So it just basically, the margin basically separates the outer space right here. And it separates outer space, giving each other space. So basically, the margin allows it to create space around it. And there's also padding, which is like the space inside. Let's also give it 50 pixels, for instance. And what padding does is basically the spacing inside the box. So it creates it bigger. So it basically creates the spacing inside the box. So inside the box, you can see it's really bigger than before. So it creates, since I increased the pixel size, so if I increase it to 100, it will become bigger. And then it creates more space. So basically padding that does it. So it creates a spacing inside. And I think another thing I would mention is border, another attribute that you can put, and this basically outlines it. So you can actually put 3 arguments instead of 1. So you see right here, there's 1 argument. With border, I'm going to show you how you can put 3 arguments. For this case, for border, with border, you can have, you want to like create the measurement first. So let's create 1, 2. That's 3 pixels would be good. So create the width, like the margin of the border, and then we have the, you want to make it solid, and then the coloring, I guess red, and then you close it. So you have 3 arguments right here: pixel, solid, or clear. I think I'm the only thing under solid, and red. Any color would be fine. And this would create a border around it. So let's see right here. It also affects this one as well, since they're the same class. So that's mostly like a lot about what CSS is. It's just basically decorating things inside your HTML, the text, images, the divs, anything you want to like customize. Let me see if I can customize it. So the image, let's see, the image, all right. So I'm gonna create the image. So let me see if we can change the background image. Source cs.jpg image slash pop-up and more css.jpg slash image. So here, all right. So let's see. So let's give this and give this also class name. Call it image. Let's call it image. So we also give it class name, the image, and we can go css dot image dot class name background color. Let me see if this works. Is it green? Let's see it right here. Maybe change the color green. Background color. I don't know how it affects this one, but background color. My knowledge is not too far, but yeah, you can change images colors. But with CSS, you can change images colors and alter it some way. But my knowledge is not to that extent right now. I'm forgetting some key elements. So with CSS, you can style HTML, text, images, background color. You can do a lot of stuff to make a website just look like this. Like you can change the image colors. Like home is like teal. You can make it like coloring and make it like vivid and make it like color like this. And so yeah, that's CSS. Even though I know I didn't explain some stuff really poorly, but I hope you can understand like a basic understanding of what CSS is about and how it affects a website and how it interacts with HTML. So that should be this portion of CSS. So what do you guys think of CSS? Is it easy to understand? Hard to understand? I know my teaching wasn't that good, but I think it was good enough to understand that CSS is like you can affect it. So what do you guys think? You think so? Yeah. So I'm gonna start the next section at 7:05. We're gonna take a 2-minute break. If you need to do anything like a restaurant break or anything like that, you can go ahead.
While we're waiting, I don't know if I want to pull in the audience for this one, but can we see that folder that everybody keeps talking about? Don't want to put you on blast, but
What folder? I don't know what folder you're talking about.
you know, I don't know either.
Teaching is really hard, dude. I don't know how teachers do it. I'm remembering all this stuff. Never be a teacher.
I really enjoyed your lecture, Eric. It's just so
I saw you sleeping, Brandon.
Bro, I was not sleeping, Eric. I was not sleeping. I promise. It's just I had a long day. I just got off of work.
Yeah, I'm just stressed.
Your voice was so soothing that
He's just meditating.
I was meditating. I was really just absorbing the information you were giving me.
What
Yeah,
a great
thanks.
student, bro.
Yeah, you definitely deserve an ace.
Thank you. Hey, if you ever need a TA, I'm sure you can find someone else.
Yo, Eric, that RGB part went kind of crazy, bro. No cap.
Oh, thanks, bro. Try my best.
God, my whole computer lighting up right now.
All right, so 7:05. I guess we'll get started. Next one, which is JavaScript. With JavaScript, it's basically the hard part of the three. Basically allows you to do stuff with your HTML. So I'm gonna start off by just erasing this fire, this div. It's really distracting. Let's see. All right, it should be back to normal. Image. All right. So div with this. So with JavaScript, how is implemented linked to HTML? It's right here. You usually do open bracket script, and then the source is script.js. It's right here, script.js. So you would refer with quotation marks to script.js, and it refers to right here. Just like right here with CSS, you will link it to right here, href equals style.css, and it links it to right here. So let's see script.js. So not to bore you with the harder part, but just understand basic arithmetics and stuff. In JavaScript, you would start off with var, which is like an indicator of your type. Like you want to create a type. It's an indicator for any type, but you can create a var. It's basically to initiate the indicator. And then you have your variable name. You can name it anything. So for simplicity's sake, you just call it num for integers. So you have 4 different types. So we'll start with integers. And num, we can put 4, and that's an integer. That refers to an integer. You put 1, it's integer, and 2, let's put 10 for simplicity's sake. And then there. So we cleared our var, and then we give it a name, and then we clear what type is it? It's an integer. And we clear another var. So is good for JavaScript. You always start with var to initiate, and then we're going to do a string now. So we call this a variable name. You could call it whatever, but for to simplify it, we call it a string, and a string is basically a text. So to know whether the text is within quotation marks, so double quotation, that refers to a text. Just say whatever you want. I like to watch anime or something. It's a text. That's a string, and that's a text, and this is referred to as a text. And then we end it with a semicolon. I forgot to mention that for that one too. There's another one, var, and it's called Boolean, and it basically refers if it's true or false. And with a Boolean, you can declare a name, such as, let's call it bool, as it stands for Boolean. And we can declare if it's true or false, so you can put equal and then true. And it only has 2 declarations, which is true, or you can call it false. And so either way, it depends on the situation, true or false, but we initially initiate as a false statement. So yeah, so we initially have these 3 statements. If I said 4, I think I'll refer to 3 for now. So yeah, your integer, your string, and your Boolean. And with these 3 statements, you can do like things in the website. So let's say you want to print something, right? Console.log, that's a command. So it's basically the printing command. So whatever you enter after it, it will get printed. So console.log, let's see, let's do num, num, which will print this is the variable num, and it'll print 10. This isn't affect the website, but it'll appear in your console on your bottom right. Let's see. Should print 10. It's trying to get rid of the controls blocking the view. And so it should print 10 on the bottom right here, since num is referred to 10. And so it can do string as well. String, and you print it. In the console, it'll print out right here. So wherever we put it in right here, it'll get printed out. So bool or false, false. And you change anything, you can just, if you change it 15 and I put num back in here, it'll change it to 15 since I just changed which initiated to. So that's basically what console log does. It prints out whatever here is. In JavaScript, you might learn about if statements. So if, so that it's like an English sentence. So if, let's just use num integers, for example. So we use num. So if num is greater than, let's say, 21, you would open curly bracket and then console.log I am able to drink, and then end with semicolon, else. I know I'm going a little too fast, but I'll explain everything. And then I put else console.log I am not. So since our num is 15 initiated, we can enter it. This is I am not, because we know initially that our num is 15, and since it is less than 21, we have to go to this loop, and it's just I am not. So you can have multiple else statements. Let's see, maybe this else work. Let's do else if num is greater than, I think 60, 59 and a half, 60. You can claim your Roth IRA. And then else. So console.log. We are able to do both. Let's make sense. So ratio is 15, is less than 21, is less than 66. A not. Let's see if this works. And you see it goes through the entire if statement. It goes to less than 15, less than 21, less than 60. So let's change it to 22. I am able to drink. So it was able to drink, but since you're less than 60, you're not able to claim your Roth IRA. And yeah, so it doesn't go through that. But you change it to, let's say, 61. It goes to this first. Let's just say it doesn't claim your Roth IRA. And then let's see, or let's say 60, 64. Let's see, and yeah, that's right. So this is and symbol, and we just being and you do num less than 60. Greater than 60. Greater than 21. It's greater than 21 and greater than 60. It's greater than 21, it's fine. So what this means is both statements must be true in order for this to execute. So let's just get rid of this thing. So you run this, you claim your raw array, and let's put any track. So it has to be greater than 21, greater than 60. Actually, let's just do less than, less than 60. So let's do, this would make more sense. So let's say it's greater than 21, less than 60, which is any number in between. Let's do 30, and you can just do that. You can do this both since it lies in between. So since both statements are true, you would do 10, for example, you're not able to do both. So this would fail the both statements since one of them was false. Since, wait, that makes sense. But yeah, since 10 is not false, but this basically is if statements. Yeah, I didn't mess up somewhere, but mess up the logic. But that's basically if statements. It's just claiming if it's true or false. Let's see, let me make this correct. Greater than 21. Let's say greater than 60. Yeah, I think that works. Let's see. Not able to do 20. Yeah, that makes no sense. But yeah, it's just basically if statements is able to run through a loop. I mean, not a loop, but a set of ifs English statements. So just basically, if it makes sense, it's like an English name. If this happens, you can do this. If not, then this happens. So those are if statements. So for loops, we go on next topic is for loops. So for this one, you start at for, and then open, double parentheses, var as an indicator, I. It's a value to give. This is the name of I is the name of the indicator, which is var, and we're equal to 0. So that initializes the I to a number. So it's an integer that's equal to 0. And then a semicolon. That's one parameter of a for loop. And a for loop has 3 parameters. And then the first parameter just indicating the initiation. And then I, again, less than, let's say 5. This is how long it's going to go through. So there's 5. Usually there's 5 indexes, and usually in programming, indexes starts from 0, so it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's actually 5. So then you end the second parameter with a semicolon, and then I plus plus, which allows it to add. So it just adds on. So it allows it from, so it basically allows 0 goes from 1 to 2, and that's how it goes. And then we open D semicolon and semi brackets, and then we're going to console.log I, and then end it with semicolon. And this will allow it to run 0, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 2. Oh yeah, here. So it allows it to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't touch 5 because that's how programming reads integers as it. You put a number here, it never touches it. So you put 10. It'll run up from 0 to 9. It's actually 10 digits, but it goes from 0 first, and then it'll count all the way to 9. See right here, it counts from 0 first, and then goes to 9 at the very bottom. But unless you want to start from 1, right now, you put 11, it will actually reach to 10. So right here. You can actually start from different digits, so you can start from 5, for example. And you can go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it runs from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's like a for loop. It's just basically going over and over, checking, execute, and checking, execute, and checking and executing. So for the programming part of the website, we can introduce a function. So we're gonna use this in the website. So the last thing we'll talk about is a function. And what a function does is it makes a programming job easier, as you can put a lot of commands in it. And when you put commands in it, you can use it later again by calling upon the function name. And when you call upon the function name, it basically calls all the commands inside the function, and you can use it again and over. So it just makes programming easier by making jobs. So start off, you always, to create a function, you want to create a function and then name it, of course, my function. It's a standard name. And then close brackets. There's empty, you can create empty parentheses. For now, we're not going to do anything inside it. So create it, open semi brackets. And then we're going to do something called document dot get. Wait, it's document. Yeah, document dot get elements by ID. I think capitalization really matters. So what this does is it will allow you to go to HTML, grab whatever thing you're going to grab. So grab element by ID. So we're going to grab anything that is put inside here. So it reads to the HTML file and grabs it. So let's just do something called test. Do we have tests? Let's see. Yeah. So we're gonna do something with the website and international HTML. So let's see. So we go back to HTML file. Make sure inside HTML inside the body. So we're gonna create h1 close, and then call it test, and then we're gonna close it /h2, and then we're gonna give this an ID of, let's call it, yeah, I gave it test. All right. So ID, remember earlier, it makes it specifically for this type of h1. So we're going to give it an ID named test, and go back to a script file. We put the test. So the document.get element by ID, reset the file, and finds the specific test. So it grabs this. So this is inside a function, so it'll perform in it. So it grabs it, and then do dot enter HTML to finish it off. So this is the whole line to get the reading done and looping. And so we're going to do equal the path change or something. The path change. So we're going to give it a new text. So let's see. H1, this is H2. Close it. And so we gave it a name of the ID, which is test, and we put it in a function. Let's see, all right, it's right here. and then we end it with a semicolon, and then we have the semicolon, semi-brackets to finish off. Let's see, got everything correct. H1, H3 was 1, H6. Let's see, H1. Oh yeah, forgot about this, and then we'll just create a button. I know you didn't learn this HTML, but I think it's easier to teach it, to show it with JavaScript. It's the same context. It just creates a button, so button, and then we give it attribute type equals button. Close it off, and then on click. So this will allow it to know that if you click on it, it would function correctly with your mouse. So, and then we'll refer to the on click from the my function name, and then parameter, and then point. This next and then we have put text, text. And then slash, close it off. So we run it, creates a button, and it has the word text in it, and we click on it. It's a bug error, so part of programming is you bug. Let's see what I did now. My function, I think I'm capitalization. It's yes, function is that so capitalization. See, so when you look at it again, it says I test, and when I click on it, change it to path change. So that's what JavaScript does. It allows you to run a website, and you can do many unique things. So you see right there, the JavaScript chain, the text chain from the test to the path change. And that's what basically JavaScript is about using functions, basic initiators such as this, using for loops, if statements, and all the core requirements of JavaScript to function on a website to make things the logic goes through and everything makes sense. So that's it for the JavaScript section. I know it's a little hard to get. I know I messed up some part, but it's a little hard to get to. But that concludes the JavaScript section, and that concludes the event for the website technical workshop. Thank you for coming.